EASEL's goal is to find homes for shelter animals primarily. We're expanding that for all animals, and we get involved in other areas. But we were formed basically as a shelter support group to the Ewing Animal Shelter. We have expanded to help basically keep animals out of shelters. I mean, there's like a variety of things in terms of getting animals adopted, getting animals rehomed directly from their homes. Fundamentally, it's for the welfare of animals.
I was the founding president of the board of EASEL, which stands for Ewing Animal Shelter Extension League. And they were a nonprofit group formed to help the Ewing Animal Shelter reach out to the community to help adopt the cats and dogs out.
The great thing about EASEL is that everyone is a volunteer. No one is paid. No one on the board, and the executive director is not paid. So everyone is here for the right reason, and 100% of the funding goes directly to helping the animals.
At one time we had as many as 30 dogs and probably 70 or 80 cats there. And we prefer to be a no-kill shelter. And the way to help that work is to have an aggressive adoption program so that everyone knows that we have animals available for adoption.
We also get involved in trap, neuter, return programs.
Trap, neuter, return is taking the feral cats that are outside and they've formed colonies. Usually there are caretakers in the area, people that will go in and they will feed them. They'll create huts for them to keep them warm. And the problem with that is if you feed them but you don't spay and neuter them, you just make a lot of healthy cats that will reproduce very frequently, and you have overpopulation. So what Trap, Neuter, Release is, we have a team that goes out, captures every cat in that colony, spays and neuters each one. We'll take the kittens out of that colony and try to get them adopted because we can domesticate them. And we put the other cats back because they're wild. They would do very poorly in a confined area. And hopefully over time, the population will be reduced to zero.
And it's all along the same goal. We're trying to keep animals out of shelters. So if there are feral cats that are outside, we find a way to fix them and keep them there so they don't wind up in a shelter. If there's a person who's losing their home, going to an apartment, we try to get them to keep them from turning their animal into the shelter and rehome them directly. So it's all kind of a related mission. We also get involved with, if we find people who economically can't afford it, we will help them. We have a low-cost agreement with a couple of local vets, and I'll make an appointment and we'll get them scheduled to get them in. So it's saving them about half the money because they're doing a responsible thing. And again, all of that is geared toward lessening the amount of puppies and kittens that are born that are cast aside and wind up in the shelters.
We are in need of volunteers always. Some volunteers come on a temporary basis. Some volunteers have special skills. So we always need volunteers.
The more people that are involved with it, the easier it is. Even people who we bring in, who come in and we only see them for a couple of months and then we don't see them anymore, tend to result in a couple of adoptions.
My name is Arlene Abrams, and I'm a volunteer with EASEL.
My name is Mark Goldman. I'm a volunteer at EASEL.
My name is Michelle Gilliland, and I'm a volunteer with EASEL.
I've been a volunteer my whole adult life, and this is the most rewarding volunteer effort I've ever had.
I think really putting your time into it, kind of shows that you really are, a person that cares about whatever cause you choose to volunteer with.
We have Adoption Day, which is very important. The more people that come out to each adoption day, the more animals come out for that adoption day. The more animals that come out, the bigger variety potential adopters have.
I go to the shelter, pick up a dog that's assigned to me, and then I take it to wherever the adoption, event is for that day. I absolutely love it. I mean, I actually get teary-eyed when the dogs get adopted because you're there with them and you're there for a couple hours and you just get so attached to them, and you see them meet people, and you just see that, they just want to be loved.
When they've come to the shopping center to do their business, which is where we generally have the dogs in front of different shopping centers, they weren't there at any given time to do anything other than to pick up their needs. But they always seem to stop when they see a dog, and they always want to pet the dog, and they always want to find out about the dog. And it's a real easy situation to meet people and to talk to people when you have a friendly dog there, and people greet the dog and they get a chance to know about EASEL at the same time.
I started volunteering actually at the Ewing Animal Shelter in late 2006 or early 2007, and shortly thereafter EASEL was formed. And I've been with EASEL since the beginning. When I was able to, when I was an undergrad at TCNJ, I got out every weekend that we had events, and for a good portion of law school I've been able to get out for quite a fair amount of events. But we do get a lot of adoptions and a lot of good adoptions, and they're not always the same thing, and it's good to have solid adoptions where you can keep in touch and make sure everybody's still doing well.
A lot of the dogs are just either people drop them off. There's been times where people have just tied them up to the post outside the shelter. Animal control will bring them in, or people that just depending on circumstances drop them off. They're moving, or they don't have room for them, or things aren't working out. But a lot of them tend to be strays. But it's amazing because some of the dogs, I mean, even though we're treated poorly, you expect them to be, kind of cold or distant towards people, and they're like so loving. The only time they're used to seeing other dogs lately is in a cage setting. So of course they're going to be aggressive, and you get them out here and just give them a little bit of time, and they just warm right up to another dog. It just takes a little bit of time. Keep them socialized, keep them around people, keep them happy.
There have been some troubled animals at the shelter and in foster care.
A lot of people, and we have this experience, some people think they're like throwaways. Christmas rolls around, you get a puppy. A couple months later, the puppy gets kind of big. It's going to the bathroom in the house. They open the door and out the dog goes. And we see that a lot.
An animal that was abandoned in a home. When the woman left and I guess the bank took over her home, she left the dog there. Nobody contacted us to let us know about that. We had contractors go in to begin cleaning the house for the bank, and they found the dog deceased in the basement.
They said when she came into the shelter she was bleeding from her ears. And it looks like what they thought was that someone actually took a knife and, cut her ears, I guess to kind of crop them, but cheap.
It's heartbreaking. I've seen emaciated dogs. I've seen dogs with scars. I've seen cats with scars. I've seen cats with so much illness that could have been taken care of if the people had just gone to a vet.
And so she was bleeding, and she had like absolutely no, ear flap or anything. I mean, it was just you can kind of see in,
I had calls from the neighborhood about an emaciated-looking dog, dirty. I went over and recognized it as one of ours. I spoke to the owner, or the former adoptee, and he told me the dog was diagnosed with cancer. That's why it was in such bad shape. After we confiscated the dog and took it to the vet and had it analyzed and checked out, there was nothing wrong other than neglect.
I mean, I've seen some evidence of dog fighting, not a tremendous amount, but there's also that aspect of it. People train them for that. They train them to be aggressive and things like that.
You just imagine what else she went through, maybe before that, or what led up to that, or just what kind of care she could have gotten from someone who would do that to her. And then I sat on the ground, and she just, sat on my lap, licked me, and was just amazing.
This is a converted old factory building. So anybody that's aware with old Trenton factories, there have been ventilation problems for state regs. Keeping clean, this is a 9,000 square foot facility. 3 full-time people was a challenge to keep it in order.
The size of the building has been a challenge. It's an old building, and they've had challenges there with heating. It's got old equipment, old systems.
What we're looking at here are the old type cat cages. The new ones, these had a litter box per cage. The new ones will have a tray underneath, and it'll be much easier to clean and keep sanitary for the cats.
Also, the location of the building, it's a safety issue for the staff. For some reason, the fact that it's in the location that it's at, people think that there's no vigilance there with police officers, so they'll leave dogs there. People have left boxes of kittens, and You know, they need help too because they're so young.
The new Ewing Animal Shelter is an initiative of Mayor Bert Steinman. He thinks, quite frankly, the animal shelter should be in the center of the town so the residents of the township feel an appropriate place to come and look at the cats and the dogs that we might have up for adoption, or for that matter, if they want to drop them off for whatever reason, that it's a good place, a safe place for them to come.
The new shelter, differing from the old shelter, it's a major difference. The fact that it's newer, it's going to be cleaner. The residents are going to like coming to a newer shelter as opposed to an old one. The new shelter will be able to accommodate people coming in and not having to worry about the location of the building.
It's a secure place, again, in a park, and much more of a friendly, safer location.
We're going to be monitoring the area. The police officers are nearby, and they're going to have security cameras posted throughout the building.
But there's also a place to, if you want to take an animal outside for a walk, in this case if it's a dog, or if you want to take a cat outside into our tree-shaded area, or if you just want to volunteer, we are going to have, I think, many more volunteers because of the location of the shelters.
I want to introduce Mayor Bert Steinman, who's worked very closely with a lot of folks in this room to bring a shelter to where it's located. So I'll let him say all the great words. But Mayor Bert Steinman, Ewing Township. Thank you.
Well, you know, an effort like this doesn't go with one person. You need a group of people to put a concept plan together and, you know, to come up with the ideas. And certainly EASEL has been one of those conceptual planners for this animal shelter. So we're thrilled about that. Just to give you some points that what we did put into this animal shelter, what you're standing on is obviously concrete, but in the concrete is radiant heat. So there'll be radiant heat throughout the floor to keep the animals warm while they're in their cages, and it's also in the cat room. So throughout this whole area we have radiant heat and obviously heating and cooling and well-ventilated areas. We kept the garage door in here to get fresh air in here during the summertime. The trailer that you see out there was donated to EASEL. We've ordered new cat cages. They should be coming in hopefully next week. You know, you can come here, you can feel safe coming here. It's a beautiful setting. You can walk the dog if you're trying to adopt a dog. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Skittles is going to be meeting her family today. She met them last week and was introduced to their dog Jazzy and their family, and it went really well. So they're going to come back today to meet again to make sure that everything's okay, and if it works, she's going to go home. Hey,
that's our girl.
that's
Where are they taking her?
Let's go out this way. Who wants to sit in the back with him?
Hey.
Yeah.
I sit in the back. They left these cat shop over there. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm sure it's going to be
Take good care of her, I promise.
You look like you're sad. You're going to a good place.
Love you, baby girl.
No more shelter.
Oh, I'm
If you want to volunteer or donate, you can go online to www.easelnj.org and donate there or offer your volunteer services there.